Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Nishit Kumar and with me is Reshma Tiwari with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks to Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., assures India's full support of Philippines development. Government sets target to increase country's health budget to 2.5% of the GDP, says Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia. Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu says MPs cannot avoid summons of law enforcement agencies in criminal cases during Parliament session. Election to the Vice President of India to be held tomorrow. Home Minister Amit Shah launches Doordarshan serial Swaraj Bharat Ke Swatantrata Sangram Ki Samagra Gatha in New Delhi. 11 people killed in Hooch tragedy in Bihar. China halts cooperation with US in several areas over House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan, also suspends high-level military dialogue and climate talks. In Commonwealth Games, wrestlers Sakshi, Anshu, Bajrang and Deepak Ashar medals for India after advancing to finals. Para paddler Bhavina Patel also storms into final. Indian men's 4x400 meter relay team qualifies for the finals. And in SAFF Under-20 Championship, summit clash between India and Bangladesh underway in Bhubaneswar. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today held a telephonic conversation with Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Mr. Modi congratulated President Marcos Jr. for his victory in the presidential election. He will be the 17th President of the Philippines. The Prime Minister also assured President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. of India's full support in his plans and projects for Philippines development. Both the leaders reviewed various areas of bilateral engagement and expressed satisfaction at the rapid growth of cooperation between the two countries in recent years. During the talks, Mr. Modi reiterated the important role that Philippines played in India's Act East policy and its Indo-Pacific vision. He also expressed the desire to further expand bilateral relations. Union Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia has said the government has set a target to increase the health budget of the country to 2.5% of the GDP, which is currently at 1.9%. Giving details about the allocations made in the health budget, he said, in 2014, the total health budget was to the tune of 33,000 crore rupees, which was increased continuously, and now it has reached 83,000 crore rupees in 2022-23. The Right to Health Bill 2021 was moved by RJD member Manoj Kumar Jha. After completing his reply, the Health Minister requested Mr. Jha to withdraw the bill, but due to paucity of time, it was not taken for consideration.
Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu today said the members of Parliament cannot avoid summons of law enforcement agencies in criminal cases when the Parliament session is on or otherwise. When the House met after first adjournment at 11:30 a.m., Mr. Naidu clarified that this is an incorrect notion that MPs are exempted from detainment, arrest and questioning while the House is in session. The remarks came in the backdrop of Congress members' arguments yesterday that Leader of Opposition Mallikarjun Kharge was summoned by the Enforcement Directorate despite the Parliament session being underway. Election to the Vice President of India will be held tomorrow. The voting will take place at the Parliament House between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar is the NDA candidate, while Ms. Margaret Alva is the opposition candidate for the vice presidential election. Our correspondent has more on this.
The Vice President of India is elected by the members of the Electoral College consisting of members of both Houses of Parliament in accordance with the system of proportional representation by means of the single transferable vote. The total number of electors are 788 members of Parliament. It includes 543 elected members of the Lok Sabha, 233 elected members of the Rajya Sabha as well as 12 nominated members of the Rajya Sabha. The counting will take place at the Parliament House after the voting tomorrow. The term of office of Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu ending on 10th of this month. Anupam Mishra, AR News, Delhi.
The Reserve Bank of India has increased the repo rate by 50 basis points to 5.40%. RBI Governor Shaktikant Das announced the bi-monthly monetary policy today. The RBI Governor said the repo rate is now back to pre-pandemic level, the highest since August 2019.
Monetary Policy Committee, that is MPC, met on 3rd to 5th August and reviewed the macroeconomic situation and its outlook. The MPC decided unanimously to increase the policy repo rate by 50 basis points to 5.4% with immediate effect. Consequently, the standing deposit facility, that is SDF rate, stands adjusted to 5.15% and the marginal standing facility, that is MSF rate, and the bank rate stand revised to 5.65%. The MPC also decided to remain focused on withdrawal of accommodation to ensure that inflation remains within the target going forward while supporting growth.
Mr. Das said the real GDP growth for the first quarter of the ensuing fiscal year is projected at 6.7%. The RBI also proposed to enable Bharat Bill payment system to accept cross-border inward payments. The RBI governor said Indian economy is steady and progressing amid turbulence and uncertainty.
Indian economy is holding steady and progressing in an ocean of turbulence and uncertainty. As we celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, this is a moment of reckoning, reflection and renewed resolve to work for the betterment of our economy. We in the RBI reiterate our commitment to maintain price and financial stability to place our economy on a sustainable path of growth. Our actions have helped the economy to tide over a series of shocks in the last 2.5 years. We are seized of our role at this critical juncture and will persevere in our efforts to ensure a safe and soft landing.
Reacting to the monetary policy review announced by the RBI, State Bank of India Chairman Dinesh Khara said that the RBI policy statement has reaffirmed the commitment to bring inflation down further and ensure financial stability in markets. President of the Indian Merchants Chamber, Anand Singhania, said RBI has delivered an extremely balanced and prudent policy. Home Minister Amit Shah today launched Doordarshan's mega historical Hindi serial Swaraj Bharat Ke Swatantrata Sangram Ki Samagra Gatha in New Delhi. The 75-episode series will present glorious history of India's freedom struggle and lesser-known tales about Indian history. Speaking on this occasion, the Home Minister said the endeavour of the Swaraj series should be to make Indians feel proud about their culture, values and ancient texts.
सभी भारतीय भाषाओं में अनुवादित होने वाली, सभी भारतीय भाषाओं में दिखाए जाने वाली है। अगर इस सीरियल के माध्यम से जनमानस का लघुता ग्रंथि दूर करने में अगर हम सफल होते हैं तो मैं मानता हूं आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव की ये सबसे बड़ी उपलब्धि होगी।
Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur said that through this series, youth can learn about the sacrifices of freedom fighters during the freedom struggle.
आज मेरा दिल इसलिए भी आनंद से भर उठा है क्योंकि एक बहुत ही खूबसूरत और आजादी की गौरव गाथाओं से सजा हुआ एक ऐसा धारावाहिक हम आप सबके सामने पेश करने जा रहे हैं। नाम भी स्वराज है और स्वराज की कीमत हम भारतवासियों से बढ़कर कौन जानता है।
The series will be broadcast in 9 Indian languages along with English from the 14th of August from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. This series will also be broadcast on All India Radio.
Badhe Chalo movement under Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav has begun from today. With an objective to instill a deeper sense of patriotism among the youth, the Ministry of Culture has decided to create a youth-centric activation for greater outreach of Amrit Mahotsav named Badhe Chalo. It is being held across 10 cities every day from today till the 11th of this month. These events will culminate with a grand finale on the 12th of August at Talkatora Stadium in New Delhi. Through this mass movement or Jan Bhagidari initiative, the Ministry of Culture also intends to amplify and support the Har Ghar Tiranga, which calls upon every Indian to hoist a Tiranga in their homes between the 13th to 15th of this month.
अब हर घर की छत पर शान से फहरेगा तिरंगा, गुनगुनाए जाएंगे नव विकास के गीत, आन बान शान का प्रतीक राष्ट्रध्वज तिरंगा। आइए आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के पावन अवसर पर इस स्वाधीनता दिवस हर घर फहराते हैं तिरंगा और लेते हैं भव्य और सशक्त भारत के निर्माण का संकल्प।
आइए हर घर फहराएं तिरंगा।
The News Services Division of All India Radio will bring you a special program titled Jammu and Kashmir, Ek Nayi Subah, Naya Daur, Nayi Umang, Nayi Umeedin in the program Spotlight tonight. This can be heard on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:15 p.m. onwards.
बर्फ से ढके पहाड़,
हवा के साथ झूमते चीड़ चिनार,
झीलों पर तैरते शिकारे,
हरी भरी घाटियों के दिलकश नजारे।
आकाशवाणी समाचार आपके लिए लेकर आया है जम्मू कश्मीर विशेष श्रृंखला एक नई सुबह।
हम बात करते हैं विकास की, निवेश की,
पर्यटन की, संस्कृति की
और रोज हो रहे बदलावों की। FM गोल्ड पर सुनिए हर शुक्रवार रात 9:15 पर आकाशवाणी समाचार की विशेष प्रस्तुति
जम्मू कश्मीर एक नई सुबह।
In Bihar, 11 people died in huge tragedy in different localities under Maker police station area of Saran district. 30 others fell ill while 17 people lost their eyesight. Saran SP Santosh Kumar said some people had consumed spurious liquor during a religious function and fell ill. 18 people are undergoing treatment in Chhapra Sadar Hospital and Patna Medical College Hospital. SHO of Maker police station and a chowkidar have been suspended for dereliction of their duties. 5 persons have been arrested in this regard. Over 2,000 litres of spurious liquor were seized from them. The district administration has launched combing operation to nab the liquor mafia.
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks to Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. assures India's full support to Philippines development. Government sets target to increase country's health budget to 2.5% of GDP, says Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia. Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu says MPs cannot avoid summons of law enforcement agencies in criminal cases during Parliament session. Election to the Vice President of India to be held tomorrow. Home Minister Amit Shah launches Doordarshan serial Swaraj, Bharat ke Swatantrata Sangram ki Samagra Gatha in New Delhi. 11 people killed in huge tragedy in Bihar. China halts cooperation with US in several areas over House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan, also suspends high-level military dialogue and climate talks. In Commonwealth Games, wrestlers Sakshi, Anshu, Bajrang and Deepak assure medals for India after advancing to finals. Para-paddler Bhavina Patel also storms into final. Indian men's 4x400 meter relay team qualifies for final. And in SAF Under-20 Championship, summit clash between India and Bangladesh underway in Bhubaneswar. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
कंपटीशन की अगर आप कर रहे हैं तैयारी, तो उनके लिए ऑल इंडिया रेडियो पर हम लाए हैं अभ्यास, एक ऐसा कार्यक्रम जिसमें आप पूछेंगे सवाल व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 पर, या फिर ईमेल करेंगे abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर, और हमारे विशेषज्ञ देंगे इसका जवाब। आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास।
Welcome back. You are tuned to the evening news on All India Radio. And here is a review of proceedings in Parliament today. First from the Lok Sabha, writer is Achint Bora of the PTI. In Lok Sabha, Power Minister R.K. Singh introduced the Energy Conservation Amendment Bill 2022 for its passage. He said that developed countries are no match to India in the speed at achieving their pledges for clean energy. Singh said India has concern for the environment and is working towards becoming self-reliant in the energy sector. He made the remarks after moving the bill in the House for consideration. It seeks to make it mandatory for buildings with a minimum connected load of 100 kilowatt to meet their energy requirements from renewable sources. The minister said every country wants to reduce emissions of greenhouse gases to deal with climate change and global warming, which has led to a campaign towards adopting renewable or clean energy. At the 2015 United Nations Climate Change Conference COP21, India had pledged that by 2030, 40% of its energy generation capacity would be met from non-fossil fuel sources such as renewable energy, the minister said, adding that this was achieved in November 2021 itself. The bill seeks to mandate the use of non-fossil sources, including green hydrogen and green ammonia, said the minister. Initiating the discussion on the bill, Jagdambika Pal of the BJP said, it has been brought due to the increasing carbon emissions in the world and the concern over climate change. Participating in the debate, Mahua Moitra of the TMC said, the bill is a step in the right direction but added that this government has an uncanny knack of ignoring what is important and concentrating on headlines. The debate remained inconclusive. The Competition Amendment Bill, which seeks structural changes in the governing structure of the Competition Commission of India, CCI, was introduced in the Lok Sabha today. Minister of State for Corporate Affairs, Rao Inderjeet Singh, introduced the bill seeking substantive provisions to allow the CCI to address the needs of new age markets. The CCI has in recent times ordered proofs as well as passed various orders with respect to alleged unfair business practices in the growing digital market. The New Delhi International Arbitration Centre Amendment Bill was also introduced in the lower house. Law Minister Kiran Rijiju tabled the bill, which seeks to establish an autonomous and independent institution for better management of arbitration in India. The bill seeks to provide for the establishment of the New Delhi International Arbitration Centre, NDIAC, to conduct arbitration, mediation and conciliation proceedings. The bill declares the NDIAC as an institution of national importance. International Centre for Alternative Dispute Resolution, ICADR, is a registered society to promote the resolution of disputes through alternative disputes resolution methods. The bill seeks to transfer the existing ICADR to the central government. Upon notification by the central government, all the rights, title, and interest in the ICADR will be transferred to the NDIAC. DMK members today walked out of the proceedings of the Lok Sabha in protest, claiming that they wanted to raise an issue in the House but they were not being allowed. Soon after the House assembled at 12 noon and some papers and reports were laid on the table, the DMK members rose from their seats and began seeking attention of the chair, Kirit Premji Bhai Solanki. The Law and Justice Minister Kiran Rijiju introduced a bill to amend the New Delhi International Arbitration Centre Act 2019. Today being Friday, Janardhan Singh Sigriwal of the BJP moved a private member bill in the House for compulsory voting. Minister of State for Law, SP Singh Baghel, highlighted a few points on why such a move is non-feasible and that include imposition of fines for abstaining from voting. He reminded the House that voters such as MG Narega workers who may not be able to cast a vote cannot be fined. With farmers in Bihar hit by a massive deficit in monsoon rains, a BJP member asked the centre to take quick measures to declare the state drought hit. Raising the issue during the 0 hour, Ram Kripal Yadav said the situation in the state was frighteningly bad and the centre needed to take immediate steps to provide relief to farmers. He urged the central government to send a high-level team to review the situation in the state. Quoting recent data, he said the state had received 41% less than normal rains till the 31st of July, following which more than 90% of the farmers are suffering from drought-like conditions. Nishikant Dubey of the BJP raised an issue of some Urdu medium schools in Jharkhand observing weekly holiday on Fridays instead of Sundays. He demanded a probe into it by the National Investigation Agency. Members raised several issues of public importance during 0 hour.
And now a review of proceedings in Rajya Sabha. Writer is Sanjeev Chopra of PTI. Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu today said members of Parliament do not enjoy any immunity from being arrested in a criminal case during the session or otherwise. Giving this clarification during 0 hour, the chairman said there is a wrong notion among the members that they have a privilege from action by agencies while the session is on. The chairman said he has examined all the precedents and remember his own ruling given earlier. Under Article 105 of the Constitution, Member of Parliament enjoys certain privileges so that they can perform their parliamentary duties without let or hindrance, he said. One of the privileges, he said, is that a Member of Parliament cannot be arrested in a civil case 40 days before the commencement of the session or committee meeting and 40 days thereafter. This privilege is already incorporated under Section 135A of the Civil Procedure Code 1908, the chairman observed. However, in criminal matters, Members of Parliament are not on a different footing than a common citizen. It means that a Member of Parliament does not enjoy any immunity from being arrested in a criminal case during the session or otherwise. The clarification came after Congress members raised objections over summons issued to Leader of Opposition Mallikarjun Kharge by the Enforcement Directorate in a money laundering case when the session was functioning, alleging that this was an insult to legislature. Rajya Sabha also debated a private member's bill, Right to Health Bill 2021. Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia said that the government has already set up 1.22 lakh Ayushman Bharat Health and Wellness Centres, and by the end of this year it would reach its target of having 1.5 lakh such centres across the country. He said these Ayushman Bharat Health and Wellness Centres are working on a holistic approach and have facilities such as the e-Sanjeevani platform offering OPD consultation service through telemedicine and teleconsultation. The bill was introduced by Manoj Jha of RJD last month, seeking free health care for all. Responding to this, Mr. Mandavia said the government is converting all primary health centres to Ayushman Bharat Health and Wellness Centres, and the centre is assisting the state governments in this project. Participating in the debate, Radha Mohan Das Agarwal of BJP said, in order to provide better health facilities to the citizens, the right to health is not required. What needs to be ensured is that funds are not pilfered and reach the poor people, he added. Ashok Bajpai of BJP said there is a lack of doctors at the health centres and the government is working to address the issue by opening new medical colleges and increasing the numbers. Ajay Pratap Singh of BJP also participated in the debate. The discussion on the bill will continue. Opposition members Santosh Kumar P of CPI and Jawahar Sarkar of TMC called for increasing India's spending on healthcare as a percentage of GDP to lessen the burden of medical expenses on citizens. Mr. Sarkar supported the bill. Anil Agarwal of BJP said importance must be given to providing adequate healthcare infrastructure first, without which the right to health would be meaningless. Earlier, members of various parties introduced as many as 17 private members' bills. These included the Information Technology Amendment Bill 2022 by Derek O'Brien TMC that seeks to protect women from online harassment and abuse, Employment Guarantee Bill 2022 by Santosh Kumar P CPI to ensure minimum 100 days of work to all citizens within the age of 18 to 40 years in accordance with their educational qualification or skill. Earlier in the day, during Zero Hour, several members raised issues of public concern. K. Ravindra Kumar raised the issue of floods in Andhra Pradesh, where people have suffered in the Godavari region. There was loss of crop and properties were damaged in several districts, he said. Earlier, Rajya Sabha proceedings were adjourned for almost half an hour till 11:30 a.m. as Congress members created an uproar alleging misuse of probe agencies by the government. Some Congress members were also raising the issue of price rise. During question hour, Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav said some people only make announcements and some only do work. That is the big difference. He said he will provide data to support this claim. This evoked uproar by TMC members. Vaishnav also said that the Indian Railways has provided employment to 3,50,204 people so far between 2014 and 2022, and the process of recruiting 1.4 lakh more people is currently underway. That's all in Parliament Review.
The Centre today said the projected population of the country is 137 crore 55 lakh in the current year. In a written reply in the Lok Sabha, Minister of State for Health and Family, Dr. Bharati Praveen Pawar said this projection is based on the report of the Technical Group on Population Projection July 2020 chaired by the Registrar General of India. On the question to control the population explosion in the country, Dr. Pawar said the government accords top priority to the National Family Planning Programme, which is guided by the tenets of the National Population Policy 2000 and the National Health Policy 2017 to address the urgent need for family planning. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will chair the 7th Governing Council meeting of Niti Aayog on the 7th of this month at Rashtrapati Bhavan Cultural Centre in New Delhi. The meeting will pave the way for synergies towards a new era of collaboration and cooperation between centre and states and the union territories. The centre today extended the services of Cabinet Secretary Rajiv Gauba for a period of 1 year beyond the 30th of this month. The decision was taken by the Appointments Committee of the Union Cabinet.
China is halting cooperation with the United States in a number of areas, including dialogue between senior-level military commanders and climate talks, in retaliation for the U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. China's Foreign Ministry today said that it was also suspending cooperation with Washington on the prevention of cross-border crime and drug trafficking and repatriating illegal migrants, among 8 specific measures. In a statement released soon after U.S. House Speaker left Japan to return to the United States after concluding her Asian tour, China also cancelled a planned bilateral meeting on a maritime military security mechanism. Beijing separately announced that it would personally sanction Ms. Pelosi and her immediate family in response to her vicious and provocative actions. U.S. House Speaker Pelosi became the highest-ranking U.S. official to visit the island in 25 years. In the Commonwealth Games at Birmingham, on day 8, wrestlers Sakshi and Anshu Malik and Bajrang and Deepak Punia assured medals for India after advancing into finals of respective events. Bajrang Punia defeated George Ram of England in the semi-finals of men's 65kg freestyle event. Deepak Punia overpowered Alexander Moore of Canada in the semi-finals of men's freestyle 86 kg. Mohit Grewal, however, lost to Amarveer Desi of Canada in semi-final of men's freestyle 125 kg. Anshu Malik registered a dominating win over Sri Lanka's Nefmi Porothoji to enter the final of women's freestyle 57 kg. Sakshi Malik got the better of Itani Ngole of Cameroon in the 62 kg women's freestyle wrestling. In athletics, India qualified for the finals of men's 4x400 meter relay after creating new Asian record by clocking timing of 3:00:25. Indian parapaddler Bhavina Patel also stormed into the women's singles final after defeating Sue Bailey of England. So far, India have won 20 medals, which include 6 gold, 7 silver and 7 bronze.
Listen to Commonwealth Games quiz with AIR News Sportscan at 7:20 p.m. every day. All you have to do is reply to a question on the Commonwealth Games. Email your answers at airsportscan@gmail.com. The first correct answer will be selected as the winner and rewarded with a jersey of the Indian Commonwealth Games team. So keep cheering to India, listening to Sportscan at 7:20 p.m. on FM Gold 100.1 MHz and on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official.
The summit clash of the South Asian Football Federation SAF Under-20 Championship between India and Bangladesh is underway at the Kalinga Stadium in Bhubaneswar. While India has immensely improved on their performances since their first match defeat, Bangladesh are yet to lose a match in this tournament. And now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. National capital Delhi is expected to have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Jammu and Muzaffarabad will have partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thundershower. Leh and Gilgit will have mainly clear sky. And capital cities in the northeast, Guwahati, Imphal, Aizawl, Shillong, Gangtok, Kohima, Itanagar will have generally cloudy sky. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks to Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., assures India's full support of Philippines development. Government sets target to increase country's health budget to 2.5% of the GDP, says Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia. Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu says MPs cannot avoid summons of law enforcement agencies in criminal cases during Parliament session. Election to the Vice President of India to be held tomorrow. Home Minister Amit Shah launches Doordarshan serial Swaraj Bharat ke Swatantrata Sangram ki Samagra Gatha in New Delhi. 11 people killed in Hooch tragedy in Bihar. China halts cooperation with US in several areas over House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan, also suspends high-level military dialogue and climate talks. In Commonwealth Games, wrestlers Sakshi, Anshu, Bajrang and Deepak assures medal for India after advancing to the finals para-paddler Bhavina Patel also storms into final. Indian men 4x400 meter relay team qualifies for final. And in SAF Under-20 Championship, summit clash between India and Bangladesh underway in Bhubaneswar. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.